Greetings, it is I, Mivnal, and today I am going to be reviewing Shin Megami Tensei Liberation D2, DX2, Double D, something like that. I had played Persona 5 and enjoyed it, and it was then that I learned there was a series similar to it, Shin Megami Tensei, which intrigued me. But I didn't have a 3DS or a Switch, and I'm a busy man doing important things on the daily. I don't always have the time to fully invest myself into a new game, especially nowadays. So I figured, what the hey, there's a mobile game. I'll just play that. It'll be a good start. And besides, what's the worst that could happen? So anyways, I guess I should start with the obvious. This is a mobile game, and you know what that means. Gambling and child exploitation galore. The creme de la creme of capitalism. The crown jewel of the video game industry. It's the type of game that everyone, quite rightly, makes fun of. The type of game that no sane person would play. Yet here we are. Even among its kin, D2 is something else. I've played a few of these games before, but I have never seen one that is as aggressive with its monetization as this. Every time you log in, it's like, hey, you want to spend money? And it's like, no, I don't want to fucking spend money. And then you spray Shitlips here with a squirt bottle filled with Agent Orange. It's the only language he understands. It's bad. With a sickening crunch, Kazafumi felt his face plant on concrete. A sensitive soul, the young man could barely make sense of the pain. His nose was broken, and he felt something loose in his mouth, mixed with blood. He'd been struck twice, 3 times. He still felt each blow on him like a heavy and sweltering heat. This wasn't natural, but then nothing was. Not in this world. There he lay, splayed on the ground pathetically. I have to scam more people, the pose seemed to suggest. Balling his dainty lady hands into fists, the shopkeeper struggled to pick himself up. Then, a boot came down hard on the back of his head, forcing him to the ground once more. "Sorry, asshole," a voice came from above. "There's a new sheriff on these streets, and his name is me." Gideon had arrived. The people cheered. But, hold on. What exactly is D2? Well, the central premise of this game is that you are an anime boy who summons demons through his cell phone. If you think that sounds retarded, just wait. The city's economy had gone to crap. No one left but the old farts. That is the first sentence one sees upon starting the game. The city's economy had gone to crap. No one left but the old farts. I like this sentence, because everything about it subtly reminds me of an ass. You can see it too, right? I'm not imagining this. The first sentence of this game is likening the city of Tokyo to a butt. It's priceless. Now, I can already hear the comments. Dude, it's a mobile game. What did you expect? I was expecting fucking Dark Souls, and I was severely disappointed with the results. You whinge and you whine about the malaise of living in a developed country, and then BAM! A living cliché tells you that you made a good choice downloading this game on the App Store. He introduces himself as Einherjar. Einherjar Jar. Is he actually Jar Jar Binks in disguise? The world may never know. He then gives you the 2 shittiest units conceivable and walks you through the tutorial. Oh damn. The hype is real. I won't complain about starting the party off with the basics, but come on, did we really need our first 2 demons to be so transparently pathetic? He said to show him the demon in our heart. Is this that demon? Please. Also, this might seem like a small nitpick, but when you land the final blow on the boss, he returns to his initial posture before instantly switching to his death throws. Why? Is it that hard for there to be a smoother transition? It erodes whatever impact your last attack had. It sucks. Afterwards, you can go through the game proper, with a few gifts to start out with. By far the best of these is the option to summon a free, randomly determined rare unit from a select tutorial pool. These units range from being decent to a fucking chia pet. Either way, it's probably the best you're going to get for a while. Let's talk about the gameplay for a minute. You control a set of 4 demons from varying schools of folklore and mythology, and use them as blunt instruments to beat your enemies into submission. It's standard RPG fare, with a few minor changes common to the franchise. Elemental attacks play a larger role, as striking an enemy's weak spot, or getting a critical hit, can often lead to an extra opportunity to act. And to the game's credit, there's actually a fair amount of variety to the approaches you can take to combat. I can also say that the trope of mobile games being pathetically easy doesn't necessarily hold here. The first few levels, and most of the events, are pretty straightforward, but it does get a bit more complicated as things go on. Like when the enemy charges at the beginning of battle and deals over 1000 damage on the first turn. That's fun. Getting the requisite battle speed to attack first at this stage, as well as the damage or status ailments to actually handle it, requires a bit of planning. It is possible to fight them with lower tier units. It's just much less perceivably possible. Either way, you're going to want better units. Who wants to be stuck with a fucking moth and Cheetah Man wearing a Speedo? I do. Shut up. So this is where you're forced to the slots, right? Actually, there is an alternative. And this is largely what differentiates the game from its competitors. You actually can get most of the better units through labor alone, specifically through a process called fusion, where you take 2 specific demons and mash them together until they somehow become a completely unrelated third unit. Fucking science and all that shit. You can fuse many of the units in-game like this, including the ultra rare. And all it takes for a fusion of this magnitude is 3 million magnetite, when you usually get them in increments of 100. To be fair, sometimes you do get a few thousand for clearing an area or chapter for the first time, but even with that in mind, you're still not given enough for even a single rare unit. So unless there's an event going on that gives a ton of this stuff, or you're very far into the campaign, well past the point of the difficulty spike, you're going to have to spend several weeks trying to very slowly accumulate the material, and wait a second, didn't I start this game because I didn't have much time to waste in the first place? Also, the best units in the game can't be obtained via this manner either. You can only get those through gambling. So let's suppose you don't want to deal with this nonsense. You started this game, you want power, and you want it now. Well, at that point you have a few options. You can revel in your status as a bourgeois prince and break the bank for a fucking phone game, or you can work to amass a small pile of the game's premium currency at the rate of an inebriated snail, and then probably fail to get what you want anyways. Or you can do it the man's way, where you find someone who's already been playing the game for a few months, beat them over the head with a rock, and steal their phone. Depending on your alignment, you can take any one of these 3 options, like Undertale with phone games, or Mass Effect with gameplay. Along came Gideon, and behind him trailed the Archangels. Michael, Raphael, Gabriel, Uriel. The 4 heralds of divinity floated behind him, and everyone in the room fell silent. Admittedly, it wasn't as intimidating as it once had been. In that first scene, their shine had cast night into day, and made his silhouetted form a supernal terror for both friend and foe. Now, they were already getting used to the sight. The angels still bore the same stoic, unfailing expression, but something had changed. Now, they just looked like men doing a job. Not their lord, however. He had with him an imperial swagger. In his hand was an iPod, blasting Without Me by Eminem. In its own way, this stood out more than the angels themselves. "Keep this quick, peons," he said, snapping his fingers. "I've got things to do and people to screw." He was greeted with looks of confusion and disgust, but they didn't have the units that allow you to attack twice in one turn, so their options were limited. As another ostensible pro to the game, there is, from the outside looking in, actually a fair bit more variety of content than you would expect. Most of the game is just battles to battles broken up by plot beats, but you can also engage in some light dungeon crawling in the so-called Aura Gate, where you try to fight your way down to an abyss of sin and confront the mysterious force which consumed your predecessors. However, while it looks okay, there's disappointingly little to be found in this section. Each floor is more or less the same, differentiated only by the difficulty of the monsters you face, and a series of infuriating damage panels. Oh, and the color. They're fond of color theory. There's more substance to Oragate too, but that's only unlocked after you clear the first 30 floors of the original, and that's... There's also a stamina system in place, which is always just a joy to deal with. You're playing the game, working to honestly gather some resources, and then, too bad, you're out of stamina, can't play the game anymore, give us 30 game bucks to proceed. Fortunately, if you're just starting, there is a workaround for this, at least with regards to the Oragate. When you clear the first battle of Chapter 2, this strumpet comes up and says, "Yo, follow me to the shithole." Even if you're disinclined to do so, caught up in getting some of the last easily obtainable premium currency, trust me when I say you'll be better off if you do so right away. Just suffer through the tutorial again. All you need to know is how to turn and pull up the map, and then you'll be rewarded with a new stamina bar. There are multiple. And now for the next step. When you level up, your stamina bar refills in full, but it can also overfill. So, if you level up a dozen times or so, by specifically doing the leveling quests, you could amass, say, 8,000 stamina, which is enough for the first 30 or so floors anyways. There's also PvP. Now, if you're interested in PvP, just do yourself a favor. Check the leaderboards and see how many people don't have at least one non-fusible unit. Exactly. Don't even fucking bother. Just do one match so that you can qualify for weekly rewards and leave unless your team is painstakingly calibrated with optimal battle armor. To summarize, most of the game modes aren't necessarily bad, but they do take some investment before they become genuinely enjoyable. For a lot of people, that's an entirely reasonable turnoff, especially given the hierarchical and at times predatory format at work. It can be pretty repetitive at parts too, so unless you're already interested in the franchise and enjoy managing a lot of moving parts, I wouldn't recommend it on that front. So, gameplay, resource management, what's left? The rest of the story? Yeah, the rest of the story. Does it improve after this piece of shit sings the praises of the App Store? Are we treated to the next Citizen Kane of video games? Story can go a long way to bettering a game after all, or making it a lot worse. As far as plot is concerned, you're sent to the Tokyo branch of the Liberators, a group of people that also summon demons through their cell phones. They have nebulous goals beyond defeating the enemy. The first person to greet you is... Why? Why would you do this? Megakin is an internet celebrity on Megatube. Fucking Megatube. Look at that hair. Look at that face. And if you pay close attention when he's speaking, his legs are actually wavering suspiciously in the air without any solid backing. This is not a human. This is a scarecrow animated by black magic to make a mockery of the human condition. That seems to be a problem we're running into a lot lately. He's also their fucking leader. Yup, this hideous meme machine and children's show entertainer is the leader of our underground rebellion. His establishing character moment is when he's talking to the children and giving them the scoop on the latest terrorist activities. Yeah, that's where they're getting their news, I guess. A strange drug's been making the rounds around Shinjuku lately. Because of that, the area's been on high alert. So to all you good kids and bad kids watching this video, remember, winners don't use drugs. So instead, watch my crazy ass vids that are more dope than any drug out there. Now let me show you the latest fidget spinners to hit the streets. Sex? Not till marriage, fam. Don't worry, millennials, Megakin is here to help you engage. At this point you might be wondering, can I just join the villains and get this over with? No, not until Chapter 7. But what about the rest of the devil downloaders? Is this commercial abomination really your only direct aid throughout the quest? Well, there's good news and bad news. There are something like 11 people you can unlock, either by going through the story or progressing in other game modes. Each have certain abilities that can enhance your demon and help in combat. Megakin, of course, is good for nothing, but some of the others have skills that can actually be pretty useful. And that sounds good. What's less good is the fact that these men and women are all stupid little caricature people, whose identity is almost entirely predicated on a specific quirk. Let me give you an example. This person likes guns. That's it. That's her character. She's a stale piece of bread at any other point, but when guns are concerned, she momentarily lights up and gets excited, only to comically regress to her previous state about 5 seconds afterwards. She reveals that her only hobby revolves around guns, and that her dream is to own a gun. Oh wait, no, they're not real guns. Silly me. They're airsoft guns. Things got a little too exciting for a minute. Don't worry, fam. Damn it, stop killing me! No, Gideon responded, before unleashing a hail of gunfire. Staring at his quarry dispassionately, he watched as the man spasmed, a misshapen water balloon filled with paint, running out. Once the clip ended, Gideon spoke. Raphael. Suddenly, the dying form of Megakin erupted in light. By it, his wounds began to seal, and his internal organs stitched back together. Face cast in a whitish glow, Gideon reloaded. Honestly, did Megakin even deserve the dignity of death? It was a question he probably wouldn't be able to answer tonight. There's a man whose entire gimmick is that he's into horror films, an idol who's fucking obnoxious, a disgusting fat man who creepily obsesses over her and unironically calls himself Meat Balloon. You get the idea. Sometimes, if you visit the Liberator's secret lair, you get to hear some of their Oscar-winning dialogue in real time. I like horror movies. Do you? Yeah, sometimes, if I'm in the mood for it. In my eyes, a lot of them are too reliant on, "Where are my potato chips?" I don't know. Why are you asking me? Some chick just hit on me. Oh. You know what? I don't believe you. Do you want to feel my abs? I think I'll pass. Please go away. You should just off yourself. You first. Why does this man look like he's from a parody of Victorian England? Why does this woman have uncooked pastries on her head? We're never given a satisfactory answer to these questions. The only one with an even slightly interesting character design is the Shrine Maiden, and she shows up in maybe 3% of the actual story. Instead, these characters go on wacky Scooby-Doo mysteries across Tokyo, except that there's only one culprit, and it's the Acolytes. The Acolytes also summon demons through their cell phone, and their sole objective is to kill anyone with a high level of empathy. That's their explicitly stated objective. Why? So they can feel secure in being assholes. Truth be told, their motivations don't really matter. What does matter is that they're the bad guy and they have to be fucking stopped. So go! And let's see a little of what that looks like. A viral dance video cracked the case open. Digital drugs, huh? I see. An electronic drug administered through VR goggles. That doesn't sound even the slightest bit stupid. See the crew and 2 college girls getting into the bus? Those girls are victims of the ongoing disappearances case. Then, if we just submit this to the police... Hey, perfect timing. Officers! The police take off their caps to reveal featureless faces. Homunculi! Going against Feng Shui means things will never go well. Why are you holding that pair of scissors over your wrist? Did you need to ask? So that I can commit suicide. Ugh. Oog. The final bid on this girl is 2.55 million yen. Could the bidder please step into the ring? This one looks just like my daughter. I just had to bid. Man, this is great. How should I torture her? I can kill her in the end, right? We have everything you need, from needles to chainsaws. Who the heck are you guys? Feng Shui mercenaries. No. You know what? This is why you play D2. This right here. I shit you not, one of the major plot beats of the endgame is that internet trolls are the cause of humanity's downfall. What is the best way to win a fight, Uriel? The Archangel looked up from the chessboard blankly. If the enemy is weak to light magic, use that. If not, aim for a critical attack. What? No. The best way to win a fight is to not fight at all, Gideon said. In their secret hearts, most men are cowards. Remind them of this, and you can bring them to heel without so much as a scratch. There was a brief pause, Uriel's emerald eyes betraying nothing. Is that why you punted that child into the ocean yesterday? I told you, that kid was a homunculus spy. It had to be done. Another pause. You humans are so pointlessly convoluted. There are also some interesting events that happen every so often, some of which involve crossovers with other franchises. Do you want more Bayonetta action after waiting however long it's been since that 30-second trailer? Well, she was in this game for a while, and she does interact with the group, treating them exactly as they deserve to be treated. She's not that good, sadly. They fucked like rabbits, and everything was slightly better for a little bit. Also, Guts shows up at some point. He confuses the party for jesters. And that's Shin Megami Tensei Liberation D2, a strange assemblage of mediocrities, charged by the dread power of child gambling. It's not all bad. However, if you're a new player coming into it with barely any tools at your disposal, then yeah, it's pretty bad. But it's entertaining, and I want it to continue. Mostly because I want to see what happens with their awful take on Anonymous. So check it out.